What's up, guys? Laura Whitmore here. I'm the owner of Strategic Test Prep, and I'm in the middle of doing a digital SAT series to help you guys get ready for the new iteration of the SAT that launches this year. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below right now. Otherwise, it'd be an ignominious mistake on your part because you're gonna miss out on all of the videos that give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you master this test. If you're returning to my channel, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you. I was inspired, you guys, by your comments on my last video. And I'm listening because I heard so many of you say that time is a huge issue for you on the English portions. So we need to work on that because there's nothing worse than running out of time and not being able to get to every question and give yourself the shot to get the most points you possibly can. So in this video, I'm going to go over 5 key strategies that I created to help you save time on the English and cut some corners so you can get through the section and gather up as many points as you possibly can. All right, first and foremost, this video is brought to you by Preply, the fun new digital SAT prep app that is set to launch by the end of the month. Access hundreds of brand new, relevant digital SAT-like questions to help you prep and do drills to master certain categories of questions, improve your skills by reading detailed answer explanations and also taking time quizzes, and have some fun while you're doing it because you can compete against other users in the app as well as your friends for a chance to get on the digital SAT leaderboard. Do you have what it takes? All right, tip number 1 for you guys is definitely use the annotation feature. Listen, if you haven't gotten the Blue Book Exams app yet, get it, because the digital SAT, the real test you take, will be in that app as well. There are certain features in that app that are there for a reason, and you need to start practicing using them now because I'll tell you guys, they're super useful. The annotating feature is probably one of the most important features for the English because you need to pinpoint key words and phrases for many of the different types of questions in order to get them right. So go ahead and take a look at a couple examples that I have for you right now. Okay guys, when you have the double text, it's a great time to use the annotation feature. So first read the question. They want to know how text 2 would respond to fans findings. So I'm going to annotate that. That's important. I need to know what fans findings are. And so I'm going to go look for that in text 1. Usually the findings are found towards the end of the paragraph, and boom, I see the word found. Sometimes you might need to look for a synonym like conclusion or something like that, but these are fans findings. Now, how would they respond to that? Well, text 2, what are they arguing? It says they have argued that research on the effects of mergers and prices have focused excessively on short-term effects. Okay, let me annotate that. That's their argument. So since Fan was a researcher, they probably will argue that Fan's findings focus only on short term. Now notice that I'm summarizing what's going on as I go and putting it into my own words. And then I can be proactive and just find an answer choice that matches. Ignore the fact that A is highlighted, by the way. That was an accident. But when I look through all of the answer choices, C seems to be the best because they would tell Fan that she needs to not just focus on short term, but also over an extended period. Another great place to annotate are on questions that are super specific. So it says, according to the text, why are ecologists worried about Pando? Well, the key word there is worried. So I want to find out why the ecologists feel that way. So I'm going to go right into my passage and I see, boom, the word worried right here. So I'm going to highlight that. Okay, I'm going to highlight it and now I'm going to annotate it. Ecologists are worried that its growth is declining in part because of grazing by animals. So growth down due to grazing. Notice that I'm summarizing it as I annotate it so that I can process it and understand what it's saying in my own words. The one answer choice I see that talks about growth is A. It's going to be A. All right, tip number 2, you guys have to stick to the 1-minute rule. You have like 27 questions in 32 minutes. That's just a little bit over a minute per question. So you don't want to spend 3 or 4 minutes on a question. It will rob you of the opportunity to get to other questions down the line that might be easier for you to answer. So don't think of it like you have to be perfect and you have to get every single question right in a row. Think of it as surrendering to win. So if you feel you're stuck on a question and you are sweating bullets or you're getting really anxious and nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been on this for a while, that's a sign to hit that red flag button and just come back to it at the end with your extra time. And along with that, start using the strike through feature, because listen, guys, you on the paper test could cross out and leave a trail and eliminate your answers. Do it on the digital SAT as well. When you go back to the question later, you're not going to want to reinvent the wheel and start over. So it'll be really important for you to just hit the ground running and just look at the ones that you have left and not consider the answer choices you've already eliminated when you looked at it the first time. All right, tip number 3 is a really good tip. It's specific to the graph questions. You guys, these graph questions though, we're talking big chunky paragraphs, tons of information, which is an SAT MO. The SAT loves putting in extra information into charts and graphs. They were doing this on the paper test for years. And you just really need to pinpoint the specific information you need. But now they have a huge paragraph to go with it. So what if I told you you didn't need to read all of that? Okay, guys, I'm on a graph question. Now they give you a lot of extra information. I wouldn't read most of that. You really want to just start with the last sentence if you're trying to complete a phrase. Now see how it starts out with, for example. I'm probably going to need to read the sentence before it. So all of this is going to be important for me. Okay, so it says they led a team that calculated average ablation rates for elements in the dust such as iron and potassium and showed that material in slower moving SPC. Okay, this is important to note. Slower moving is SPC or AST dust. Faster moving is HTC or OCC dust. I'm going to save that little note because now it looks like they have a contrast. They said whereas the average ablation rate for iron from AST, which is a slower moving, is 28%, the average rate for it, well, they're probably going to want a faster moving for iron to compare directly. I see iron from HTC dust is 90%. That's a faster moving one. I'm going to go with that. Okay, guys, here's one more example of a graph question. Again, I'm just going to go right to the last sentence and annotate that. After several weeks, the students measured the plant's average mass and were surprised to discover that. What were the students surprised by? That's what I want to know. So that means I need to look for something that's inconsistent in the table. I'm not going to read the answer choices. I'm just looking for something that looks weird or different. Corn and marigold both say yes next to them. And it looks like the average mass grown in soil containing fungi is a lot more than the average mass treated to kill fungi. But broccoli is weird. It says no, and then it says 7.5, and it only goes down 0.5 to 7. So I would be surprised with the broccoli discovery because it doesn't go with the corn and marigold. And A says broccoli grown in soil containing the fungi had a slightly higher average mass than broccoli grown in soil. Yeah, that is weird because the other ones were drastically different for the corn and the marigolds. All right, tip number 4 is also specific to a certain type of question. These are the questions where the sentence is underlined and it's asking about the function of the sentence in the paragraph. Guys, you do not need to read the whole paragraph. My tip is to just read the sentence in question and then start going through the answer choices. Check this out. Okay, guys, describing the function of the underlined sentence, really you just need to read the sentence that's underlined and just focus on that. So John Redding loved to wander down to the water's edge and casting in dry twigs, watch them sail away down the stream to Jacksonville to see the wide world, and he wanted to follow them. So John wanted to follow the twigs into the wide world. Okay, now that we know what that is basically saying, we're just going to pick a match, and it looks like D works. It suggested John longs to experience a larger life outside the Florida woods. So number 8, we're just going to focus on the underlined part. You don't want to read too much if you don't have to. It says, which choice best describes the function of the underlined sentence in the text as a whole? Well, the sentence says, the landscape outspread below her seemed an enlargement of her present mood. So landscape like her mood. And she found something of herself in its calmness, its breath, and its long free reaches. Okay, it creates a detailed image of the physical setting of the scene. I don't know if A is right because it talks about it linking to her mood, so that doesn't seem like enough. B, it establishes that a character is experiencing internal conflict. I don't see conflict in the word calm, so I'm going to actually cross these two off. It makes an assertion that the next sentence then expands on. Well, I would have to read the next sentence to know that. But I like D better. It illustrates an idea because I know that it's more of an idea and not an assertion that is introduced in the previous sentence. So I'm going to read this previous sentence to see if that assertion is linked to, or that idea is linked to it. So Lily had no real intimacy with nature, but she had a passion for the appropriate and could be keenly sensitive to a scene. So sensitive to scene, background fits her own sensations, And yeah, that sounds exactly what's going on because it said the landscape matched her mood. So I'm going to go with D. All right, last but not least, my favorite tip, tip number 5. For these note-taking questions where there's a bunch of bullet points and it says the student took notes, don't read the notes. Just go straight to the question, see what the student wants, and pick an answer that delivers that. That's all you need to do. All right, do you guys have time-saving tips of your own? I am curious, what are you guys doing on the English sections to save time? Please share with the YouTube community what you're doing if you think it would be helpful. Maybe I'll even use your strategy in a future video. And that's it for this video. So if you found this useful and helpful, please hit the like button. Hope to see you again soon. Happy prepping.